Hello guys, Robot1 and Charmander in the background as always, ready to flamethrower me, tell me if I'm wrong, or just in generally say, Char! And in today's Yu-Gi-Oh video, we are going to be doing, well, something that happens every few months that all Yu-Gi tubers do, and everyone under the sun does, and that is my ban list predictions. And even though we're in a continued state of literally remote duels, LCSs, and all of that, we still have competitive decks to talk about, and cards that need to be hit in the game so that these tournaments can be balanced, so these tournaments can be fixed, and so every deck has a chance to come out on top. So, without further ado guys, we're going to actually get into that. We're going to be talking about the banned cards, the limited cards, the semi-limited cards, the cards that should come off the list, everything along those lines, because, well, it's ban list prediction season. It's time to talk about what needs to go, what should come back, and everything along those lines, and we're all really happy to always see this season for the few reasons that, one, it lets people come back into the game and see if some of their old cards are really good again, or two, it's just a fun time because we get to see some decks destroyed, we get to cry because our own decks are destroyed, and everything along those lines. But anyway guys, now that I'm done talking about that, let's go on to the banned section where we're going to be talking about cards that should be banned. Alright guys, so when I was thinking about cards that really should be banned in the game, there was a couple that came to mind that I was like, okay, maybe this should be banned, maybe that should be banned, but there was only really one that I actually came to the conclusion that, yeah, this card kind of needs to be banned because of what it's doing for a very specific card, and this card is Cloud Castle. Now, a lot of people out there are probably thinking, Cloud Castle? But why are you not talking about the card that it helps? And we'll get to that, But pretty much Cloud Castle, what it does is, it's a level 9 synchro that special summons a level 9 monster from the graveyard. And what that essentially does is, it makes a lot of other decks in the game capable to make True King of all Calamities on turn 1 very, very easily. And pretty much, I've been looking at Cloud Castle for a long time. I've been knowing that you could use this card with stuff like Gotems, the x-sabre monster that will allow you to discard a card from your opponent's hand, and then you can just summon the Gotems back, and then go ahead and do it again, then make another level 9 synchro to go ahead and make the VFD. But the reason why I'm talking about Cloud Castle being banned right now and not VFD being banned is because this card has a lot of general combos in a lot of other decks. You're able to utilize this card in any deck that can make a level 9 synchro. Literally make this, send Gotems to the graveyard, hand up your opponent, then go into VFD, so they have one less card, which is already unfair because you're making them play with one less card, and you're also getting a VFD out of it. And two, because, well, having the ability to just make VFD with like one synchro monster is absolutely insane. You shouldn't have that ability in a deck. Literally just being able to special summon a level 9 synchro from the graveyard or a level 9 monster from the graveyard, make VFD and then pass, along with also having all these other things that you've already done in the turn, isn't really fair. So personally, looking at Cloud Castle, I'm thinking because of VFD is a card that's just really insane and how this card helps make VFD, I personally feel like this card needs to go to 1 just so stuff like that can stop, and just so we don't have to deal with that kind of thing. Now, that's the only card that I actually think that needs to be banned, because of that is the one card, because it really just makes VFD even more broken in a lot of more decks than it really has to be. So personally, I just feel like VFD needs to go, well, not VFD, Cloud Castle needs to go to 0, because one, it'll just limit stuff like the Gotems combo, which is just absolutely insane in my opinion, and two, because it's just going to be here and say, well, now you have to make 2 level 9 synchros and you can't waste one to be able to go into your combos. So yeah, Cloud Castle to 0 is my personal choice, and I really think it should happen in this ban list. But anyway, let's go ahead and go on to the limited section though, because that's a lot more than what I have for banned cards. Cloud Castle may be the only card that I think that needs to be banned, but there's a lot of cards that I think will go to limited. So let's go over to that now. Alright, so cards that I think that should be limited on this ban list. Now, obviously, as I said, there are a lot of cards that I believe that should be limited for multiple different reasons, and the one we're going to be talking about first is True King of all Calamities. And yes, I know you're all booing me, I know you're saying, no, this card deserves to be banned, why isn't it banned, why are you saying it should be limited? But hear me out. Hear me out. I actually have a good reason to why I believe True King of all Calamities should be a card that isn't banned, but limited instead. And that reason pretty much is, it really did balance the game. And you may be thinking, what? VFD balanced the game? What are you talking about? VFD broke the game. But when we got into this format where VFD was the best card in the game, we saw so many different decks come out. We saw decks that were the trap base come out of the woodwork. We saw a lot of these rogue decks come out of the woodwork. We saw Zodiac get really good again. We saw decks that could play after turn 1 appear in the game. And that is absolutely insane to me, how VFD made us literally into a format where, oh yeah, you can now play a deck that will last past turn 2, and that really just blew my mind how we actually hit formats where, yes, you could be playing stuff like Elder Lich or Autogeist or Guru that are these trap-based decks that really didn't have any place in the meta because it was just full of these combo decks that just went off, and it really made me happy. It made me happy to see that control decks were coming back in the game. Decks that could play after turn 2 were coming back in the game. And because of that, I feel like VFD doesn't need to be banned. But why do I feel like it needs to be limited though? Now, obviously, VFD needs to be limited. It's a card that is really, really insane and really does break the game to a huge degree. And I wanted to stay at 1 in the game just so that fear of it in the game is still there. And the reason though really it needs to be limited, because you cannot keep VFD at 3, I'm sorry, even though it's done something really good for the game and that trap based decks and going second decks and decks that last past turn 2 inhabit the game again, it is really a busted card. The card says that your opponent can't play the game. The card is basically just a rank 9, oh, I'ma skip your turn, and if you're not playing one of these decks that let you go past turn 2, you're not going to be doing anything. And I honestly feel like this card needs to go to 1 because of that. And the reason it should go to 1 though, even though it does all this and stops your opponent from playing the game, is because, well, people are making 2 VFD in 1 turn, or they're playing Virtual World where they just kill their own VFD and then bring it back somehow. And having a deck that plays 2 VFD or 3 VFD and just keeps making VFD, it's not fair, it's not fun, and I don't want to be part of that format. So yes, I don't think the card should be banned because it's a card that actually did make the game a bit more balanced. It's a card that literally just said, oh yeah, you can play the game again. But honestly, I feel like it's a card that does need to go to 1, just for the fact that you shouldn't be allowed to make 2 of this card. You shouldn't be allowed to make 3 of this card. You should only be allowed to make 1, and that's it. But yeah, VFD is the first card that I think that should be limited. The next card though that I think that should be limited is Ben 10. I don't think I have to go too deep into why Ben 10 needs to be limited. It's literally a card that says, oh, I'm tributed, I search a fairy. And the reason behind this needing to be limited is because, well, Drytron? Like, do I have to explain how Ben 10 has destroyed and broken Drytron? This card is literally absolutely insane in Drytron, being able to search any light fairy monster in the game, be it the Heralds, be it Eva to search more Heralds, be it the Herald of Ultimateness, so you can go ahead and make that and have like 5 negates on your board. This card literally says, I'm allowed to search any light fairy from the deck. I can be recurred very easily with stuff like the Ritual spell that just says, oh, yeah, I summon myself back, and then I go ahead and tribute myself again. But why do I think it shouldn't be banned and should be limited instead? Well, because even though it's a card that is really, really good and you can just search itself as well, so you go Ben 10 effect, search Ben 10, tribute again, Ben 10 effect, tribute, search again, I personally feel like this card should be limited because of that. You shouldn't have that recurability in a card that says you can go ahead and search itself and then go ahead and use it again to be able to search more cards. And in Drytron, having that inherent ability to search itself, get multiple summons, get multiple fairy negates in hand then, and also be able to just resummon it back, it's not fair. It's basically the same as free engage in my personal opinion, because in Drytron, Ben 10 is engage. Ben 10 is literally engage because you literally get to trigger your Drytrons for free as long as you have 1 Ben 10 in your hand. So limiting Ben 10 essentially says, okay, you don't have free engage now, you have 1 of it, you have to choose very carefully what you're going to search. If you don't have enough resources to summon like 3 Drytrons from your hand, you can't do that now, and pretty much it just puts Drytron in a better position to be more balanced. And I personally really like that, how Ben 10 being limited would actually make the deck a fairer deck as well, stopping it from having all these infinite searches, stopping it from having all these infinite combos, and it's a deck that really just has a more balanced game. It's a card that will really just balance the game, and I personally feel like it needs to go to 1. But yeah, Ben 10 to 1. The next card that I personally feel like needs to go to 1 though is Miscellaneousaurus. Have you read Misc? No, but seriously, I've been seeing a lot of people saying that Fossil Dig needs to go to 1 instead of Miscellaneousaurus, and I don't agree with that. I really don't. And people are saying this, they're saying it because yes, it does search Miscellaneousaurus, and yes, it does search Overraptor, which can search Miscellaneousaurus, but let's be honest, dinosaurs, they're only at their power right now, and even in the previous formats, because, well, Miscellaneousaurus says you can't affect them. And having 3 Miscellaneousaurus in the deck just says, oh, you can't just do this once, you can do this 3 times. And even back in the day, when they had 3 Miscellaneousaurus, they were absolutely an insane deck. They were a crazy, crazy deck that were just really, really strong. And I honestly don't know why people think limiting Fossil Dig would fix the problem, because in all honesty, it's not going to. You're still going to be able to search the Miscellaneousaurus regardless of it over Soul Raptor. You have 3 of it, so the consistency of the card is still very, very high. You'll still have 7 ways to get to it, 3 by drawing, 3 by searching with Soul Raptor, and 1 with the Fossil Dig. Literally, limiting Fossil Dig, yes, it hurts dinos, but you've also got to remember, dinos fell off the map when Miscellaneousaurus went to 1. The card is absolutely insane, giving you the effect to not only summon from the deck, but make all your dinosaur monsters on the field unaffected by card effects, or activate card effects. That's absolutely insane. How could you say to me that Fossil Dig, out of all the cards in the dinosaur deck, yes, Fossil Dig is a card that should probably be limited, but in my opinion, why would you do that over Miscellaneousaurus? When Miscellaneousaurus is literally the card that's saying, oh, I can't stop you from playing the game. I can't hand trap this specific dinosaur that's letting you go off. I can't stop you from special summoning from your deck. I watch you summon a crocodile, a bling dinosaur from your deck to then just go ahead and make your UTC with ease. So yes, I get it. Fossil Dig is a really, really strong card. It's a good card in the deck. And yes, it's probably a card that does deserve to be limited. But I personally think Miscellaneousaurus, if it's limited again, dinosaurs will pretty much fall off the map. They won't be as powerful as they once were. They'll be so much easier to stop, because if you stop that 1 Miscellaneousaurus, they're pretty much going to be in dead water majority of the time, unless they do have like the nuts. So personally, Miscellaneousaurus to 1 is my personal opinion on that. I honestly don't see the point of hitting Fossil Dig outside of it. It hurts the consistency of the deck, but still, they're still going to have 3 ways to get to Miscellaneousaurus, 3 ways that are very easily, and 7 cards in your deck get you to it. So yeah, honestly, Misc to 1, don't tell me Fossil Dig. It really is just better to hit Misc to 1. But yeah, going on from there though, another card that does deserve to be limited is Scarlet Sanguine. So Elder Elixir Scarlet Sanguine, it's a... Do I have to explain why Scarlet Sanguine deserves to go to 1? Now, honestly, with the amount of decks in the game right now that are Eldritch, Dogmatica, Zodiac, Mix, Mayhem decks, or just Eldritch in some random deck, or just any of these decks that are just a mix-up of so many different decks, do I really have to explain why the Elixir has to go to 1? Now, I'm going to anyway, but literally, it's a card that speaks for itself. First of all, it special summons the Golden Lord from the deck, or the graveyard, whichever you want. If you have it in your graveyard, you can summon it from the graveyard. You're most likely summoning it from the deck, though. But Scarlet Sanguine, what it basically does is, it says I get free advantage in every situation. 1, it summons Golden Lord from the deck. On its own, that's kind of balanced, because of 1, it just summons, what, a 2/8 or 2/5 beat stick onto the board, and that's all you really get. But when you really think about it, this card says, oh, I not only summon a 2/5 beat stick, but I also go ahead and banish myself to set another card from the deck that just says, oh, I'm going to then banish this card and set another Scarlet Sanguine from the deck. You see where I'm coming from here? This card literally says, I'm going to keep having my basically engine on tap and on lock until I've banished all the resources, which I could recycle through other means. Maybe, I don't know, you summon a card that returns them all to the deck. But what this card essentially does is it's pretty much just a free summon and free consistency, because you go ahead and set the Conquistador from the deck, and then Conquistador is just going to go ahead and destroy an opponent's card, which is not fair in my opinion. It's the most broken card in all of the Eldritch deck in my personal opinion. Like, I think it's better than Cursed Elderlands, because this is really what keeps your engine going. And that's why I feel like it needs to go to 1. It's a trap card, it summons during your opponent's turn, it summons from the deck no less, which is honestly just insane. And limiting this card to 1 will honestly just fix a lot of the problems that we actually have with Eldritch Zoo Dogmatica, or Eldritch Zoo or Dogmatica Eldritch, or just pure Eldritch in general. I feel like it would balance the deck and make the deck a bit more fair in the long run as well. So Scarlet Sanguine, go to 1. Balance yourself. You're a really busted engine, and it's not fair that you can just go ahead and banish yourself and then get yourself back later. It's a card that I personally feel like needs to go to 1. Continuing on from there though, onto other cards that I feel like that should come from banned to limited though. First of all is Performer Pal Skull Crobat Joker. Pendulums have done nothing for the longest time. We're in a format where Pendulum does nothing, the deck is literal garbage right now. Don't get me wrong, I love pendulums. I could make 5 negates, but we're in a format that does nothing with pendulums because the pendulum mechanic has been nerfed to all hell. So what's going to be happening if I just normal summon my Skullcrobat Joker and get an Odd Eyes, a Magician, or a Performer Power from my deck? Absolutely nothing. This card can come back to 1 with ease. Another card will most likely come back as well. Firewall Dragon. It's getting into Rutters and Ghosts of the Past. Konami were going to release it even before the ban list, but obviously they had to push it back a bit, so they're probably going to put on the database, you have to play it with this text, the errata. And honestly, it can come back with its errata. The card is garbage with its errata, so anyway, yeah. Mirage Stalio. No, sorry, not Mirage Stalio. We'll talk about Mirage Stalio first then. Mirage Stalio. Solomon Great are doing nothing. This card only summons Gazelle from the deck. Gazelle's at 1, and honestly, just gives Solomon Great something back. They're the most hit deck on the ban list right now, or one of the most hit decks on the ban list, seeing as their Circle's limited, their Stalio's banned, Gazelle's limited. Giving them Gazelle's not going to change much, because all it is really is a summoner from the deck and a potential compulse, so the card can come back. And then the last card that I should have said before, Mirage Stalio, Electromite. As I've said, Pendulum is garbage right now. Master Rule 5 has just ruined it. Well, Master Rule 4 ruined it, to be honest. But nonetheless, the deck isn't good. Electromite can come back to 1. Give Pendulum something back, especially after the Do Re Mi Fa Sol La Ti Do Pendulum deck. It wasn't even that good, and honestly, I feel like Electromite coming back is not going to make Pendulums the most broken deck in the game. So Electromite to 1, I can see it happening, and I feel like it would just be a balanced card nonetheless. So those are all the cards that I think that need to be limited though, or come back off the list. Like honestly, in all of these cards, I see a generic reason for why they need to go. VFD, you can't be summoning more than 1 in a game. That's just absolutely busted. Ben 10, it's engage essentially, so put it to 1 so it's not engage anymore. Misc, if you tell me Fossil Dick should be limited before Misc, I can't believe you, man. It's Misc is the problem in my opinion, and have your red Misc. Like Sanguine, it's just the engine, it continues on and on and on and on and on. Hitting it will balance the engine in my personal opinion. Skullcrobat Joker, Pendulum do nothing. Fire or Errata. Electromite, Pendulum is just not good, as I said, and Stalio, Solomon Great isn't good anymore, so just give him the Stalio back. There's no reason for it to be banned still, but yeah, those are the limited cards. I feel like they should be limited. Giving you my thoughts on them, let's go on to the semi-limiteds though. So for semi-limited cards that should be on the semi-limited section for some reason, even though the semi-limited section is the most irrelevant section on the entire ban list, to be honest. I believe there's only like 1 card on the semi-limited section right now as well, and the first card that I feel like needs to be semi-limited is Magical Meltdown. Let's be honest, Invoked is a 1-card engine that says, oh, I normal summon Alistair, I search Invocation, I summon Mechaba, I shuffle Invocation away and put Alistair back in my hand. It's a 1-card engine, and I feel like that engine needs to be hit a bit. This engine has gone unchecked for the longest time. Magical Meltdown is the card that searches Alistair, so I personally feel like put it to 2, hurt the consistency of it a bit, you know, give them a little tap on the wrist, show that they do deserve a bit of a hit. You know, just one of those taps just to say, yeah, put it to 2. And the other card that I feel like that needs to go from limited to semi-limited is Called by the Grave. Personally, I don't feel like this card should be on the ban list at all. I feel like it should be up free because obviously it promotes good things in the game, saying that it's a balanced card, it's really good, it's a cheap card to get, and it can make pretty much any deck able to play through hand traps. But honestly, knowing Konami, they're not going to put it to free. So I could honestly see them putting it to 2 for a couple of reasons. One, obviously cards like Tactical Talents and all of these other things that can stop hand traps and even Crossout Designator are potentially coming into the game or aren't in the game already, so they'll probably give it back to show that yes, you have all these really powerful cards that you may have already paid for or aren't out yet and we're going to make cheap anyway, so give us Called by the Grave back so a lot of these other decks can, you know, play the game again. Because the thing is, as soon as Called by the Grave went to 1, a lot of these decks that couldn't really play around hand traps had to rely on cards like Tactical Talents and other stuff that would just stop hand traps and Gamma and all this other stuff, and because of that, a lot of decks just fell out of the game. So I feel like putting Called by the Grave to 2 would not only make a lot of decks be able to play the game again, but also show that, yeah, we've already released Tactical Talents, we don't think Crossout Designate is coming to our game very soon, so give us back Called by the Grave, or we'll give you it back so you can have this thing so your decks can play the game. So yeah, honestly, Called by the Grave to 2 makes sense to me, but honestly, didn't have a lot for the semi-limited section. There's not really a lot of need for a semi-limited section, so these are just the cards that I think that will be semi-limited. But nonetheless, let's go on to the final section, the unlimited section, where I feel like cards will come off the list. For the unlimited section, the section of the list where cards come off the list and are freed into the world again. Now, out of all the cards on the ban list, the card that I definitely think is going to come from 1 to 3 is Double Iris Magician. Let's be honest, guys, Double Iris Magician does not need to be banned or limited or anything along those lines. It's currently limited, and it's done nothing ever since it was unlimited, so bringing it to free is not going to change anything, so literally, it going to free would do nothing. Pendulums aren't good, as I said earlier in the video. Master Rule 4 and Master Rule 5 absolutely ruined them, so giving you Double Iris Magician to free wouldn't make a difference in my personal opinion. And the only other card that I personally feel like should be going to free is Max C. Now, a lot of you probably right now are giving me two opinions. One, you're booing me like crazy. Two, you're saying, no, Max C definitely should come back. I agree with you 100%. And there are two groups of people. And I understand there are two groups of people. But let's be honest, Max C should come back to free for a couple of reasons. One, it should never come back to 1 because then it becomes the most sackiest hand trap in the game. And 2, because it balances the game. Like I said, VFD did balance the game. I've said that, and yes, it did balance it quite a lot, but it didn't balance it to the degree that Max C could balance it. So what do I mean? One, it makes combo decks, the most broken decks in the game right now, balanced. It means if your opponent is going to go ahead and summon 20 times, you're going to draw cards that can literally just say, I can now play through your board. That's literally the whole basis on Max C. It's the card that literally says, you're playing a crazy combo deck that stops me from playing the game, well, I'm going to drop Max C and either you make me deck out or I'm going to be able to counter your board. And honestly, some of the times you will get decked out and some of the times you won't get decked out. But to be honest, Max C being banned just means the game is in a more crazy state, and bringing Max C back would regress that game state in my opinion. It's a card that will stop the crazy combo decks, as I said. It's a card that will balance the game to such a huge degree, and yes, you'll be scared of it. Yes, combo players will hate it. Yes, control players will love it, but let's be honest, if a card can balance the game to the degree where we're in a format that literally has decks that summon like 20 times in a turn, and this makes those decks and those players actually think, huh, do I want to take the challenge? Do I want to risk my opponent having all of these cards drawn? What do I personally want to do? I personally think Max C is a card that really should come back. But anyway, that's just my fault. It's a card that balances the game. It's a card that makes the game a bit fairer and everything along those lines. And I definitely think it should come to free. Hell, Konami probably won't bring it to free. This is just a prediction. If it comes to free, I'll be so happy and I'll be like, yes, finally they did it. But honestly, will it come back to free? We don't know. I predict it will, but let's hope it does. But anyway, guys, that has been my ban list prediction video. I hope you did enjoy. Honestly, a lot of the stuff on this list really does make me think, and really did make me think while making the list, because this format has been a bit of a crazy one. There's been a lot of balance. There's been a lot of things that have just gone out of the woodwork. There's been a lot of stuff that have become broken out of nowhere. There's been a lot of cards that make other things broken. And honestly, with a lot of the stuff in this game right now, the game could go anywhere. So honestly, the ban list is going to change a lot of things. And personally, I feel like these changes will make a big difference as well. But anyway, guys, just for a few ending notes, Ben 10 should definitely go to 1. It's basically engage. VFD should stay at 1 for the pure fact that you shouldn't be able to make more than 1 in a duel, and because it actually does balance the game, as I said. And Miscellaneousaurus, if you tell me Fossil Dig needs to go over Miscellaneousaurus, I don't agree with you in any way, shape, or form. But anyway, guys, those are my last ending thoughts. Please tell me your thoughts on this ban list prediction in the comment section below, and also give me your thoughts on your own ban list predictions, because I would love to see them, I would love to read them, and I'd love to comment on them and have a discussion with you about it. Because obviously, ban list season is one of the more interesting seasons of the year, because it's one of the things that lets us really get a big discussion on and feel like, huh, maybe this should go, or maybe this should go, or maybe this should stay, or maybe this won't go. And I'd love to see those in the comment section below. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Please don't forget to check the links in the description below to my Discord, Instagram, and Twitch, where I post stuff, where I stream, and where I do all sorts of things on Discord where you can ask me questions. And as always, guys, don't forget to please like, comment, and subscribe as always. And that's the video, guys. Me and Charmander are signing out. I know some of you booed me during this video, and I know some of you liked it during this video, but hey, this is just my prediction. Later all.